Hello and welcome to 70 Years, 70 Muppets. More Muppets, please. A Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. This is the podcast where we celebrate the Muppets' 70th anniversary with a series of spotlights on our favorite Muppet characters, from fan favorites to the most obscure. I'm this week's host, Noah Ginix, and the Muppet of the Week is J.P. Grosse, performed by Jerry Nelson and designed by Mari Kaysel, making his world debut in 1977. Joining me today is Tough Pig's own Joe Hennis. And in a little bit, we will be joined by Bonnie Erickson, a great friend to Mari Kaysel. Hi, Joe.
You know, my uncle owns this podcast, and he told me that he'd really appreciate it if you had me on as a guest. So that's the only reason I'm here.
Well, then he'll be happy because you've been my guest 3 times now on
I'm so grateful. I love talking to you, and I love being a guest on podcasts, and I love this podcast. So I'm just happy to be here. Unlike J.P. Grosse, he always seemed like he was unhappy to be in the theater that he owned.
Right, exactly. Why didn't he just sell it?
Well, there was we rewatched. You and I rewatched his Focus episodes, and
Yes.
you know, he in the I think it was the Judy Collins episode where he comes back and he wants to turn it into a junkyard.
That's right.
But it was cheaper to just let the theater fall in on itself rather than pay to demolish it.
I think he knew that leaving it in the hands of the morons at the Muppet Theater, it would be rubble within weeks.
Right. Yes, exactly.
And then he could just do whatever he wanted with it. So that was the first appearance of him where we actually saw him. But we heard about him all through the first season. And the first one being in the Ruth Buzzy episode, he sends a mechanical wind-up TV show host to replace Kermit.
Is that his first? It wasn't whatever Scooter's first appearance was?
I mean,
like Scooter didn't show up being like, well, my uncle owns the theater and that's why I'm here.
No, Scooter showed up mid-season, I think.
Oh, right, because all the episodes are weirdly ordered.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes more sense. Yeah, right. Okay.
And that one is notable, if only because it was one of the stories illustrated by that amazing...
Yeah, for the Muppet Show book.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So what's interesting about this is that, you know, Scooter is really the only Muppet who gets like a proper introduction and a backstory,
right? And
like his own kind of little story arc, because like he's the one who gets introduced into the Muppet fold in the first season of the show, and everyone else is just kind of there. Everyone just already exists within the world of the Muppet Show.
Yeah.
And
he was sort of the 70s version of Walter.
Yes, exactly.
Sense. Yeah.
Or a 70s version of Richard Hunt, I think literally.
But quite literally, yeah.
Yeah. But for him to have this like unseen uncle with all this influence that gives Scooter indirectly gives Scooter all of the influence was kind of a really interesting and powerful character move. And so I think that was much more interesting before we saw J.P. Grosse. Like we didn't need to see him because we can imagine how stingy and mean and unfair this guy was. And then once you see him, you're like, no, I don't hang out with that guy.
Exactly.
Bring Scooter back.
I don't want that guy. And also he looks nothing like Scooter.
No,
but I
have to assume that he's married to Scooter's aunt. Yeah. Right.
That makes sense.
Or when Scooter gets older, he's going to get a little bald spot and a mustache and a cigar. And lo and behold, he looks like Wario. But I was also thinking, speaking of Wario, you know, that the Muppets have not really, they don't do villains very often.
No, they don't.
And when I say Muppets, I mean like all the Muppets, you know. Yeah. So we don't have... So the characters that have come into the Muppet Show world, like J.P. Grosse, Fleet Scribbler, even like one-offs like Big Tiny Tall Saddle in the Johnny Cash episode, like they're all these like they just rub everyone the wrong way, and it's like get them out of here. Like you don't need that that kind of antagonism on the Muppet Show to tell a good story and have fun. They obviously they proved it in like 112 out of 120 episodes. So it's really unpleasant to see him. And then even like beyond that with like Sesame Street, obviously like the show very rarely had a villain. Like the movies have villains. A couple of the specials, like there's that Joe Pesci, Donald Trump character in one of the anniversary specials, which is just so unpleasant for him to be there.
Yeah.
Just doesn't fit in the world of Sesame Street. And then over on Fraggle Rock, like obviously you have the Gorgs who are always kind of antagonizing the Fraggles, but true villains like the Mean Genie and Wander McMooch, it just doesn't. You don't need it, and it doesn't make for a better story. It doesn't. They don't. Their nastiness is not justified by making these amazing story arcs.
And even with
just get rid of
within
them.
Sesame Street, like we had Miss Finch in Follow That Bird, but
Yep.
she wasn't even really a villain. She was just trying to, she was a little nearsighted, I think.
Yes, she was. Yes, yeah. Nearsighted is a good way to think about that.
Yes. One might say xenophobic, but like she just wanted Big Bird to be happy with other birds, and she wasn't, And by the end of the story, Sesame Street's natural wonderfulness just won her over, and she found out that he was happy where he was, and this was his family.
So I'm looking at JP Grosse's Muppet Wiki page right now.
Yeah.
And on the Muppet Show, like he only made 4 appearances, which sounds crazy.
Yes.
And only 2 of those are like
Storyline.
like actual. Yeah, right. The Judy Collins and then JP Morgan. I think he only brought him in for JP Morgan because they have the same name.
Yeah.
And the one that I found interesting though is in the Bob Hope episode
where
he is there's a medley of he has all the Muppets are like sitting in the living room set and there's a roaring fire and he's sitting in the easy chair and they're just singing. There's no actual dialogue. And I've always seen that as like JP Grosse for some reason invited all the Muppets over to his home because it obviously looks like he's hosting them, but it's the Muppet Show. They're on stage.
Are they on stage though? I think it's just like we hear the audience. So, and I think it's easy
I just assume everything on the Muppet Show is on stage.
And it's easy to conflate this appearance with the John Denver Christmas special appearance where they are on
stage. They do a very
stage
similar thing.
For some unknown reason. Like it's the only part of that special that has a whole theater audience.
But not a JP Grosse to be seen in that one.
Right, exactly. He might have been in the audience or like buying popcorn.
It's John Denver as JP Grosse.
Right, yes. He's wearing a JP Grosse costume.
Right, yeah. But yeah, that's bizarre. It's like it shows a sense of generosity that we don't see from this character at all. By which I mean it feels extremely out of character that he would be there,
or that he would invite anyone into his home.
Right, exactly. He probably doesn't even invite Scooter into his home.
Probably not.
His own nephew. Yeah,
and it's interesting. Jerry Nelson did not do his voice in that scene.
Oh, is that right?
At least from what Muppet Wiki says and listening to the song, Richard is the voice that you hear. And that could be because Jerry's already featured 2 other times in that song as Floyd and Robin. I'm not sure exactly. So the only appearance besides Judy Collins, J.P. Morgan, and Bob Hope where he is only in that one medley, he is relegated to being a person in a window of a building that a monkey is climbing up the outside of.
Right.
In the Shields and Yarnell episode.
So that begs the question, did they shrink him down or did they put an entire King Kong-sized monkey on the Muppet Show stage?
You mean within the world of the like...
Yeah, this is still a stage show, and they have a whole building with a giant monkey on it, or a normal-sized monkey in a tiny building with teeny tiny JP Grosse and other characters within the windows.
Well, they do all sound like they pitch their voices way up, so they all sound like twiddlebugs. So they could have been the victim of a bizarre Bunsen Honeydew scientific accident.
That's pretty good headcanon. I like it. Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, they've also done expanded, broken the fourth wall in a way on other episodes, like the Loretta Swit episode of Pigs in Space where like it pulls out and you see like the weird huge background and everything. So
Yeah.
I wonder if the Muppet Theater is like a portal into a different dimension.
I mean, I wrote an article a few years ago positing the theory that the Muppet Theater is a Fraggle hole. It's a giant Fraggle hole. And you can read all about that on toughpigs.com. Maybe that's the answer. I don't know.
Because there's also like Glenda Jackson turns the entire theater into a pirate ship.
Yeah.
And that's not possible.
This show is so unbelievable. I don't buy it for a
Talking
second.
frog?
That I get. So what's funny is like for this character, we only know so much about him.
Yeah.
And I'm again looking at his Muppet Wiki, and it's like it's got a list of like 3 of his favorite things, like his favorite pet, who was Muppy, his favorite act, who are the Danceros, and his favorite song, which is "It's Not Where You Start." And I just love this that like a lot of times characters are defined by their wants.
Yeah.
You know, like Fozzie Bear wants to be loved, and Gonzo wants to create art and all that fun stuff. And JP Gross is just like, I don't know, I like my dog. I like this one old song. Like these weird guys, clomping around in boots and bad choreography. Love him.
That makes sense.
It's his whole personality. Yeah.
It's just this weird old man,
Yeah. But then the other thing that we know about him is that he's rich.
Yes.
Yes, he's a man with money, and because obviously he owns this dilapidated theater, and he's always like trying to strike a deal, and it's a whole thing. And so that got me thinking: do you think that J.P. Grosse is named for J.P. Morgan, the famous bank person? I don't actually know anything about J.P. Morgan.
I just visually looking at him, I would say that definitely he was in the realm of inspiration that Mari was looking at when she, designed the character.
It had to be. He's got this big nose and this big mustache. He looks angry. He looks like a Muppet.
Yeah.
Like I suggest everyone go to the JP Morgan Wikipedia page and look at this guy. Like he looks like he was built in the Jim Henson Creature Shop.
Speaking of him being rich, his most recent appearance, he is featured in a photo on the wall in the queue line of the new Rock and Roller Coaster.
Yeah, well, I mean, not just that. Like he is part of the storyline.
Is he?
He is JP Grosse is the new owner of G-Force Records, which is the fictional record company that you are in their studio for the Rock and Roller Coaster experience.
Did they build a new version of him?
I haven't seen this photo, so I don't know, but I doubt it. I mean, he's not in any of the videos.
The photo on the wall is just the Mari Casel puppet from
I don't think they did. And so here's the story that we've heard is that so G-Force Records was already the name of the record company when it was Aerosmith's Rock and Roller Coaster. And when the Muppets were taking it over, the G logo was embedded in a lot of the like things that they couldn't just replace, like in cement,
Yeah.
So they were like, okay, well, we should keep the G-Force. We shouldn't try to like force it into, so there's a G there, but really it's, Waxtown Records. So I think they took advantage of the fact that Grosse starts with G. And we've got this rich guy, this Muppet connection, justifies Scooter being the big animatronic in there a little bit more, why he's there. So it just makes sense now that the G in G-Force stands for Grosse.
Totally.
Grosse Force Records.
So I don't know that I have that much more to say about J.P. Grosse himself. I think we should talk to somebody who knew the person who built him. I would like to introduce the wonderful Bonnie Erickson. Hi, Bonnie.
Hi, Noah.
How's it going?
Good. I'm nice to be here.
You are very nice to be here.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you because Mari was a great friend of yours, and
Yes.
She built J.P. Grosse, and he is the subject of this week's podcast. And so I wanted to get some idea from you about what she was like, because we don't really know that much about her as a Muppet builder.
which is really a shame because she built many characters and she was part of that whole incredible gang that we all had in the workshop. And she was brilliant.
Do you know when she started?
I think it must have been 1973, maybe.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, 73, 74, when we were starting to build for Sex and Violence.
Okay.
And it was her husband at the time, who was Dave Casel, who was the graphic designer that did all the logos and stuff for Jim. Oh, ha, all those. He was brilliant as well. They didn't stay together, but that's how we first got to know Mari, was through him.
Who was it that found her? Do you know?
Well, probably it was Jim. I mean, initially, who talked. He was dealing with David, who did also, I think, a lot of the promotion for the movie, for the films. So I'm sure they met. And I remember at one point, David and Mari had a party and invited all of us. And they had John Barrett, who was the official, photographer for Muppets for many years. He was set up in a room and took pictures of everybody as we came in. So there's a whole file somewhere in John's stuff of all of us that came in that year. It must have been in the early 70s.
That's great. To have access to that would just be amazing.
Well, I know where he is. And I know where his storage is.
Do you remember the first thing that Mari built when she came to Muppets? Or did she have to audition with a piece or anything?
No, not that I know of. She came in and I must have known her work. What I remember is what table I put her at in the studio, in the workshop.
Which table?
She, I don't know if you know this, but she had narcolepsy.
I didn't know that.
Which means that she would fall asleep at undetermined times. Mm-hmm. And so we had to be really careful keeping an eye on her because, we were dealing with X-Acto blades and razor blades and stuff like that. And so we all kept an eye on her because she would literally sort of pass out or lose consciousness quickly if there was a really bad joke. So, of course, we all told a bunch of bad jokes. And then we all got used to, being with her and being much more careful around her. But she was so funny and so much a part of all the humor that went on and the jokes that went on. But the first thing that she did when she came in, it must have been for, I think maybe it was the 7 Deadly Sins. I think that was the assignment for her. And she did all of them except one. I'm trying to remember. She did.
According to the Muppet Wiki, she did all but Vanity.
Okay. Yeah, I remember that. And I forget who did Vanity.
I believe it was Raleigh Crewson.
Oh, it may have been because Raleigh, that was very early on in Raleigh being there. She came in as an intern initially. She sent in applications. I started an intern program, and It was really, we got a lot of people who applied, who became wonderful designers and builders for Jim. And Raleigh was the first.
And Raleigh's still there.
Well, she's still consulting.
Okay.
I think she's not there on staff any longer, but she's certainly in there doing whenever they have a project, they would call Raleigh because I think she was there for 50 years.
Yeah.
And as a regular on staff and built incredible amount of puppets and is a beautiful designer builder.
Do you know what Mari's favorite project to work on was at Henson? Or at Muppets, I should say.
I think maybe Emmett Otter.
Yeah?
It was such a sweet story. I think anybody working on that was just, and Don Celine was very prominently designing and building for that from the illustrations from the book. And I think the two of them working together was really nice. And I think that was, it wasn't quite the pressure of trying to do the show when we were doing the TV shows and stuff. And so having a little time to do those characters was lovely.
Yeah. With her narcolepsy, hanging around Don Celine must have been awful.
Dangerous.
Yes.
Very dangerous. Yes.
That's how you get magic marker things drawn on your face.
Right.
That's right.
And I don't know that much about narcolepsy, but I remember her telling me, and I think she had just been diagnosed shortly after she started with us. And I remember when she told me, and we said, well, what do we need to know? And nobody really knew that much about it. And I haven't since looked it up, but I probably should. But it didn't stop her from doing anything.
Yeah.
But I did make me nervous because, we had sharp tools.
Sure.
Like, did she ever get injured from the like falling asleep at the office?
No, she didn't, but she could be sort of nervous. So working with those, all of us were cutting ourselves and stuff.
Yeah.
And I had posted on my desk, on the wall, was the address, the telephone number, and the people to call if anybody cut themselves or anything, and where in the hospital to go. I forget which hospital it was, but it was
That's brilliant.
This is our instant number.
Yeah.
Get them there right away. We never needed to use it, but it was handy to have there.
Do you remember what her process would be on various characters? Like, I know that she designed J.P. Grosse. I know that she also built to Mike Frith's designs on the Seven Deadly Sins.
Yeah.
What was her, if you remember, what was her process for like starting something like that?
Her process was she would follow a sketch. She'd either make the sketch, or as with Mike's drawing, she would follow the sketch. But she added so much to all of these incredible drawings, I have to say, especially in the Seven Deadlies. We were all enthralled. Every time we came in, we wanted to know, which one are you on now, and what are you going to do with that? She was always, as I remember, she didn't like to come too early, but neither did I.
Right.
So she would come in late, and she would often stay late. So there was a lot of, but it was a community there, and so I don't think any of us did anything much without sharing it with everybody else. What do you think? But she was really able to interpret Mike's drawings so well in those particular characters. But she did a lot of other things too. It's been many years, so I don't remember them all. But she was working all the time, and she worked with carving stuff. She worked with molding things. But I think for the most part on the Seven Deadlies, it was carved characters, and on Grosse as well.
Did she do drafts of them, or would she just do like the first one is the one that goes?
I think she really did just one. It was like one. She would get one sketch from Mike, but I think she, on her own for Grosse, I'm not sure, but I think it was just one sketch. I think she played around with what she was going to end up finally. But I think once she had it, that, she didn't worry about the ones she'd done before. That was the one that was her main guide for what she was going to be doing with the carving and the creation.
She is credited on Muppet Wiki with co-creating or co-building Miss Piggy.
No.
No? Okay.
No, that is
I guess
not
that's
right.
wrong.
No, I did Miss Piggy, but what happened is I started the original Miss Piggy. We used the whole first year of the Muppet Show. But following that, I then left to start my own business.
Oh, okay.
And following that, then she did take over doing, I think she did one replica, and then the rest became molds.
Oh, okay.
And now, of course, it's all molds and stuff.
Yeah.
So no, she wasn't involved in the first one, but she was involved in subsequent evolutions of the character.
So she is the second builder of Miss Piggy. You perfected it, and then she was just.
Well, I don't know that I perfected it, but and the job was to reproduce the first one, which was that's not fun.
No, and probably like a really difficult. It's one thing to look at a sketch and then to kind of define it the way that you feel like it's going to work with the foam, with a puppet.
Except there was no sketch for Piggy.
Well, right. I mean, like, looking at J.P. Grosse or Beauregard or something like that.
Oh,
and then,
yes, right.
But then for Piggy, it's like, well, you have to really like look at every little detail and match it perfectly because people are going to see it on the screen.
I know.
It's
well,
tough.
if you look at them over time, you see there is a real evolution of the pig. But I will say that I think probably Mari improved the quality of the wigs big time. Because I remember the first one was like, do we have any hair around here? I just threw on whatever we had those first shows. So she was involved, but certainly not in the first iteration of the big.
J.P. Grosse, along with many other puppets, were flocked.
Yeah.
How does one flock a puppet?
Well, I actually addressed the Flock Association of America.
Oh, wow.
Is that a real thing?
Because we discovered this process. Actually, Jim discovered it. He saw it. Somebody in Long Island who lived by a stream invited us out for a demonstration of flocking. And there was a special adhesive, and that came from a company that we worked with very closely to refine it. And he invited us all out, and he flocked this foam rubber thing. It wasn't a puppet. It was just give us the method. And he had a cylinder with a screen on it, and he put these little fibers in it and shook it. And there was an electric attachment to a charge so that it spread throughout this whole adhesive. And every fiber went at a perfect 95-degree angle to the surface. Wow. So it was absolutely smooth. And you couldn't touch it until it dried. It needed I think ultimately it needed less time, but it started out for 24 hours to cure.
Wow. And
then you could do anything you wanted to it. And it ended up, that process preserved a lot of the puppets for many, many years because it kept it from having any air get through to it. But there's a picture of Carol Lee Wilcox and myself in the flocking room wearing our operating room garb, big goggles, because we discovered very early on that the fibers would go right to anything wet. So your eyes were a big draw.
Yeah.
So we learned to do this safely, but it was amazing to be able to find this because you could get the fibers in any length. From very tiny, thin to, like a 16th of an inch. You could get them in different colors. And we discovered that this adhesive that we use could be colored as well.
Wow.
So we could cover whatever we had carved with the adhesive. We could paint it, tint it, all of that, and then pick a fiber that was similar to the majority of the colors. And that's how we did all of those puppets from that time on. It was amazing to find this process.
Yeah.
I have a question about J.P. Grosse, if I can butt in.
Please.
And butt is going to be a pun, as you'll see in a second. So J.P. is he's often seen smoking a cigar, and I know he's not the first Muppet to smoke what looks like a lit cigar, because I know King Gosh Posh had one before. What's the trick to having a puppet cigar that looks like it's lit or smoking?
Don Celine was probably the first thing because it would be connected to Don, who was down underneath. I think he even did it on the Ed Sullivan show, where it's there's a tube that was connected to the cigar, and so he could actually smoke a cigar and then blow it through the fake cigar that was on screen.
Amazing.
And he was not a smoker. Don was not a smoker, but that was his job, and we all learned to do it, but none as well as he did. Don also, I keep wandering off, but Don also was
talk about whatever you want to.
Thanks. He was a builder of exploding things. I don't know if people knew that.
That sounds illegal.
I think it was. But he was in touch with NASA, and NASA would send him information about the space things that were happening, and he sent off rockets. We would go to Central Park, and he would send off rockets. He was amazing.
Wow.
Don, I loved him. I loved everybody there, including Mari, including Carol Lee, including Raleigh, including Jim, oh my God. It was just, what a group. How lucky have I been in my life to have been with these people? Yeah.
We often talk about how amazing it would be to like be a fly on the wall with, Jim, Frank, Jerry, Richard, Dave, the puppeteers. But I think it would be just as fascinating to be in that workshop with all of you in the heyday. Like,
Oh,
what
it
a
was
blast you must have had.
With all the mice running around and like,
oh my God, yes, we had wonderful mice and slinkies. You knew they were
yes.
slinkies because we'd hear boing, 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 boing as they go from one desk to the other. Because we had literally these slinkies that would go from their aquariums where they lived most of the time, chewing up the houses that Don would build for them. And they would get into the slinkies and they would go from desk to desk and
Wow.
just, get treats and go back. It was amazing. We and it was play. I have to tell you, I think play was so important in what we all did there. And of course, Wade and I are on the board of the Museum of Play, and we figured that makes great sense. And they have schools, nursery schools there that teach kids through play because it's just the best way to explore. It's really such a great development to be able to play and discover things. And we did that in this workshop. And we also worked with very closely with the performers. Often they would come in, try things on, talk to us. And when we were on the set, of course, when we were doing Muppet Show, we were all together. I mean, it was like the performers, the workshop. Some of the performers, like Dave Goles, would come in and work because they also built.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's multi-talented in terms of what he can create and how he performs. So it was a real community.
Elstree must have been an amazing place to hang out and just be, because it was far away from home and everything was self-contained in that place.
Yeah.
Because the shop was there and that's where they would, shoot, and like the musicians and everything. Like it was all just almost like a summer camp.
Well, sort of.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, it was summer camp, and we worked very hard, but we also played very hard.
Yeah.
And we would play tricks on each other. I mean, also there was the main office, the head office. So once in a while, we would wander up there and tell them what was going on, and they would come visit us. But we had the shop was right. I mean, our door went right onto the set, so there was never any distance between us because there would always be somebody standing out there from the shop with a roll of gaffer's tape on their arm, waiting for anything that might need to have work while things were being shot. So it was the writers, all of us, pretty much. We'd have a read through once a week before we did a show. So all of us would attend. So everybody knew what was coming up, how we had to plan for it. It was very well organized, and everybody with the director was there because we had several different people who did it. And Jim was always there. So we were connected at the hip the whole time we were there shooting, for sure.
And it had to be like that because
Yep.
Stuff would break down, puppets would need repairs, and it was like instantaneous. And you could just Statler's eye fell off. Can you put it back on or whatever?
Right. That's right.
Yeah.
And we all had lunch together too in the commissary. That's where I learned to eat beans on toast.
I didn't know that was something one had to learn.
Yeah, right.
I'm curious, when it came to, say, like Michael Frith does a sketch of a new character, he brings it into the workshop, and you and Mari and everyone else who's working in there, someone has to raise their hand and say, hey, I could build that, or did it get assigned to someone? Like, what was the process for that?
Often it was either Jim or me because I was running the shop at the time. So a lot of it had to do with, is this something that's really their bailiwick? They're really good at doing something like this. What was the scheduling? Who was working on what and what was available, for timing? Because everybody who was there was capable of doing just about everything. Everybody built, everybody could design, everybody, well, I would say most people could do costuming. Everybody just had all of these theatrical skills is where a lot of us came from initially. So they were just used to doing things, and makers were, the backbone of that whole shop.
Yeah.
So, did you feel that Mari specifically had some quality that none of the other builders had, or some specialty that you might see something in a sketch or hear something, in one of those read-throughs that you go, oh, this is going to have to be a Mari project?
Well, yes. I think she did. Did she do Pewta? I think Saturday Night
Yes.
Live.
Yes,
Yeah,
she
yeah.
did.
I think she, well, look at her. Yeah, that's Amari. That's Amari for sure. The bizarre, sort of strange. That's why the Seven Deadlies are. They were so perfect for her kind of building, her way of looking at things. And she also, one of the things I remember is the clothes she wore. Mari was a fashion
Maven.
model, really. She would come in and she had beautiful clothes, great jeans. I mean, really beautifully cut jeans, not just your regular jeans, but really beautiful jeans, beautiful blouses. And she always wore some sort of huge either flower or bow or something on the side of her shoulder. So she was spectacular looking as well as, being very creative. So she'd sit there looking so sharp and doing all this funny stuff with clay and with glue and hot glue guns. I mean, it was quite amazing to see her. She was really talented, and this was the perfect place, I think, for her to be able to do the kinds of things she could do, so many different things at one time.
It always is amazing to me to see photos from, especially the 70s, where everybody's wearing all this like amazing stuff, these amazing clothes, and then they're working on like foam and glue and like stuff that you would never, like think that somebody should be wearing nice, like I don't own any nice clothes because I just am going to get stuff on all of my, clothes. So like,
Well, we did have a couple of aprons, but I don't remember people wearing them much. I do remember Mara would wear them with her big rose on the shoulder. But yeah, there was a little bit of a, what are you wearing today? And it was a hippie culture. We were all hippies. Jim, have you seen him? California Cowboy Chic was one of my writer friends referred to him. He was a journalist. Said that's what Jim wears because he'd wear these jackets that had fringe, and he wore shirts that were bright colored. When we went to England, he got even better shirts. He went to a special store in London. I'm trying to remember, can't remember the name of it, but in any case, these beautiful fabrics and stuff. So there was always a little bit of fashion within the community there. I keep thinking about Mari. When she left Muppets, she went to Mattel. Mattel recruited her to do designs for their Imaginarium and, new products and stuff like that, because she just had this mind that created so many wonderful things in different iterations in all these different areas. She was very talented.
Yeah, what did she create for Mattel?
I'm not sure. I think she did a line. I know she did a line of dolls, I think. But I'm not sure what else. And she ended up in, was it Arizona? And she was into yoga always. And so I think she went there and just sort of chilled out. And that's where she ended her career and life, was in this lovely little place. And we were in touch,
oh wow,
throughout
Good.
that time. Not a lot, but certainly enough to know the kinds of things she was doing. And she became a big creative part of the community and a teacher there.
wow.
So who better to teach than someone like Mari in a place like that? Yeah.
One of the last things she did before she left Muppets was designing the museum exhibit.
Yes.
Do you have any thoughts on that or memories of?
That was one of the first things, and Leslie Ash was also involved in that. But that was there were a couple of exhibits that we did, but the one that Mari worked on became a traveling exhibit, which really went all over the country. And
It came here.
she put together. Here she was also a curator who was able to put together all these different pieces that we had. Go through the warehouse because she knew that pretty well. find the things that would be appropriate to send out on an exhibit. So she oversaw that for quite a while.
And that kind of became your job too, right, Bonnie? Like in more recent years.
Well, ultimately, what happened is the Jim Henson legacy became the entity that oversaw the maintenance and care of all the puppets that were in the warehouse. And this was when things had died down and most of the things were put in storage. And so Rhoda Cosme, who was the collections manager and was trained in museum fare, joined me, and we went out to the warehouse many days in a row for many months, a couple of years. And we went through everything that was there, photographed, commented on, set up a database. And so having done the database and shared it with the family, we asked to be able to put together exhibits using these things. And the family trusted us to do that. And we certainly told them what we wanted to plan to do. And so that's how these exhibits started going all around with later things. That's also how a lot of things were donated to the Strong Museum of Play. There was the Center for Puppetry Arts in Atlanta. It has a great deal of puppets there. And the Smithsonian. So we went through and were able to divide up things. And Jane Henson was still available and working with us on part of all of that decision-making on where things went. And we would make recommendations because we were in touch with all these entities. A lot of toys and product went to the Strong Museum of Play.
The Museum of the Moving Image has a bunch of stuff too.
They
right?
do, yeah. It's actually, I think they got probably about the same amount. It was about 400 objects to each of the museum of MoMI and the Atlanta Museum. I had forgotten to mention them, but yeah, they have it on exhibit as a permanent exhibit both there and in Atlanta. There are permanent exhibits.
Yeah,
all that stuff, and you didn't give any of it to us. We didn't get one old
Not
puppet,
one measly thing.
Just a little gift of I don't know, a Fraggle or something.
You didn't.
Nothing?
I'm seeing it, and I haven't got any of it myself.
well, obviously, we need to rob the museum. That's our next step.
We could ask Grosse for some money.
Yeah.
Yes, great. I love it. I think he seemed really generous. I think he would give us the money and not ask for anything in return.
I'm not so sure. I'm trying to think if there's anything more that I would like to say for Mark, because I loved her dearly. And
yeah,
I think just letting people know that even after she left Muppets, she continued her creativity and her contributions to the world with all these wonderful things she did. I think when she was out, she created something called the Creative Traveling Soul Circus. And so there's all kinds of stuff that will remind people of Mari. Yeah. But the beautiful work that she did for the Muppet Show was so special.
Thank you so much for talking about her.
Thank you for thinking about her, too. Thanks, Noah.
Thank you, Bonnie. Thanks, Joe.
Thanks, Joe.
70 Years, 70 Muppets, More Muppets Please is a Muppet fan podcast presented by toughpigs.com. Hosted by a myriad of people and edited by them as well. Produced by Joe Hennis. The Muppets 70 logo is used with permission by the Muppet Studio, with thanks to Danny Iglesias, Frank Reifschneider, and Lee Slaughter. Don't forget to follow toughpigs.com on all social media platforms, and you can support us by heading to patreon.com/toughpigs or by buying merchandise at tpublic.com/toughpigs.